when you're collaborating, if you know what you're going in for or you're going in as, like today I might be someone that's just instructed to give my opinion every now and again on how things sound. I might just be coming in as a piano player to just listen to what you want me to do and then just do that. Or I might be coming in as a producer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But if you don't know that, like if you're, I don't know, man, if you're meeting a producer you met online or something, it's just like, hey, let's collab. I always tell the story about when Tom messaged me on SoundCloud back in the early days. Yeah, Tom Mish, basically.
Yeah.
He messaged me, yo, do you want to collab? Early days when he never sang yet or anything like that. No. He was just making beats the same way I was making beats. And I was like, looked at the message and I listened to his music and I was like, we literally both make beats.
So what you say?
What are you talking about?
Was it also like, you don't need me? I have nothing to add to what you want.
I have nothing to add to what you're doing. You have nothing to add to what I'm doing. We both make beats. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand the and to be honest, I still don't really get the concept of, like, I do get it, but I only get it as in, like, it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
The question is it necessary?
Yeah.
It's definitely not necessary in my opinion.
Right.
But is it, like, good to do, sharpen?
Yeah, but is that because, like, you guys you specifically, your solo music is very much a dictatorship?
Well, I wouldn't call it a dictatorship.
What do you actually mean?
What I mean,
it's like,
it's an alpha has control.
As in, like, yeah, like, any opinions on your music, for example, you don't ask, like, if I ask you, then you can give it to me, but you don't want, you're very clear on what, like, so for example, when you're working with Emma V, for example, on that joint project, that's a joint project, that's your part. But when it's your solo thing on your own, there's no one that you're collaborating with at that level who has the same say as you. Like, there's no one at that point where you bounce off ideas of,
you're the boss.
I've brought these songs, I've made these songs, I'm bringing these songs for you guys to play. These are the parameters where you can freestyle and improvise on these bits, but it doesn't affect the top layer of the. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes and no, because the same way the me and MV was a collaboration, the me and Tom thing would be a collaboration. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be anything to do with my solo stuff anyway.
Yeah, I'm saying with your, now with your solos. So let me explain. I think, like, with my stuff now, with me working with Miles, for example, I've had to kind of, like, hand over the keys in regards to, like, conversations. Like, say, okay, Mr. Dukes and Barney Artist, for example, it's not exactly the same as you working with Emma V. We both have say on
both sides,
either side. So, like, I have say on production, he might have say on words and flows on some of the things that I'm doing. And I think I found that to be super, like, luckily it worked because, like, I found that comfortability there where it felt like, you know, but I suppose that's where it's different, because it's not like both of us kind of go off on our corners and then come back and make something. It's kind of like,
I mean, with the MV stuff, it was me and her, for Epoch anyway, we were both sitting in the same room and doing it. It's just, and we both had a say, but the point is that we both knew whose domain we're speaking in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can say something about her vocals or harmony, but I know that I'm speaking in MV land right now.
Yeah,
do you know
and do you know what's crazy about that roles thing is, because I have the empowering thing where even the assistant engineer can suggest something after a couple of days, like I'm trying to make everyone feel comfortable. I've now learnt with that freedom for them to express themselves, I have to learn when they do say something that I don't agree with, I have to know how to say no, sort of thing, because everyone just starts saying, Jordan, your vocal could, or that guitar part should be muted, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, whoa, everyone's sort of maybe gotten too comfortable, let's say. But I've opened that door, and I then have to learn how to say, no, I like the guitar, I'm keeping it, sort of thing. So it's a good way, whereas my brother's style of being a boss, the whole, like, everyone's in fear method, might work well for, like, I've heard stories about a famous UK producer, and it's very much like a militant, like, no, you're going to sit there and play that loop for 2 hours until you get the right loop, and then they'll get it. And, like, Steely Dan, this band from the 70s and 80s used to do that. They used to, like, if that drummer doesn't get an hour, that he's fired. Like, we want this exact, like, part done exactly. And to your point about the Tom Misch thing, I have this a lot with like, you know, one of my favorite artists, Matt Corby. He plays keys, he plays guitar, he sings. He's also from this. We grew up in the same country, and like I'm like he can do anything that I want to do. He doesn't need me in a collab, and I've always put that off. Even though I obviously love to work with him, but I just don't want to. Partly because of like I can't. Partly the confidence thing, like oh no, you can get your somewhere. Partly because like he, you know, also just the keys part. I'm thinking in my mind, oh, he's a better keys player than me. He can just do this, or like I might play guitar.
I suppose is it about better?
No, but it's a confidence thing though. Like